Okay, to make this wreath, I used two different sizes of plastic ornaments. And you can use anything circular, ball-shaped. You can see I have styrofoam there. I'm glad I didn't use those, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. And yes, I'm using hot glue on plastic, and I should have used a lower temp hot glue gun, but you'll see how I fixed all this in the end. This still worked. You'll see I'm kind of messing with them a little bit, but they did end up sticking to the grapevine, and they would stick to probably any surface just fine. But the plastic, of course, did kind of cave in on itself with the hot glue. So it just didn't give a great surface area for it to adhere in a way that I felt would hold up over time. So again, this worked, but I'll show you what I ended up doing here in just a second. So I'm just showing you this so you can kind of see how much it melted the plastic. Again, I should have used a lower temp hot glue gun, but I ended up using these instead, and they're just clear plastic zip ties. And I used a drill bit on my drill and just drilled into the plastic, and it actually held up awesome. They didn't crack at all, they didn't break, and it was very, very quick to just put two holes into the bulbs. And then I was able to run the plastic zip ties through those two holes. You can see here I'm using a pencil because on some of these, and I learned my lesson, I put the holes too close together so the zip tie would not kind of just flow through to the second hole. I had to use the end of a pencil to kind of push it through that hole. But then I figured out what I was doing, and so I spaced those two holes about an inch apart, and then after that they would flow easily through the two holes because of the slight curvature of the zip ties. Here I am finishing these up. You can see I got most of them on the wreath, and the zip ties worked awesome. You can make them as secure or loose as you want. For this project, it might be kind of fun to have them a little loose because the ghosts might flow in the breeze a little bit, but I made them super tight, and you can see how far apart my holes are there. And you can either put them through a few branches and then tighten that zip tie, or put it all the way through the back of all the grapevine. This is why I'm glad I used the clear ornaments, because it makes it look so much cooler when it's done. I think anything would work fine, but I love that the lights are inside the bulbs. And I just kind of, with this wire, these lights are super easy to manipulate, so I just kind of bent them and pushed them into the bulbs. You might notice I have the opening of all the bulbs towards the bottom, facing down, and you'll see why that is helpful at the end. But just kind of pushing them in, it's not a big deal. And then using some Scotch tape just to secure them the slightest bit, because that wire is so thin, it doesn't take a whole lot to make them stay put. This is where you need to embrace the imperfections. I mean, these are supposed to be flowing ghosts. They're not perfect. And that's why I'm showing this at the tail end when I, in hindsight, realized that these don't need to be absolutely perfect. And I'm just doing it like a little thin bead of the hot glue across the top of each bulb and then just draping that cheesecloth over the top. Watch your fingers because you're going to feel that hot glue, but it secures really quickly. And again, those little imperfections you can clean up a little bit later, but you really don't need to. They're cute the way they are. And don't overthink this part. I overthought it, and in the end, it took way less time when I just glued and threw it on there. But this cheesecloth came already folded up, and I probably used 4 layers of it altogether because it's folded, and then I folded it in 2. So I didn't want it too thin that you would see everything through the bulbs, but I didn't want it too thick either. So that you can play around with and do what is best for yours. And now I'm finishing it up with some little felt eyes and mouths. And I looked for adhesive felt, but ended up just getting a really cheap piece of black felt and cut it with my regular scissors. And again, these don't need to be perfect at all. The eyes, at first I was concentrating on making them perfectly symmetrical and the exact same size, but it really does not matter. So just kind of stick them on there, see where you want the placement before hot gluing. And then this little bit of the hot glue behind the eyes and the mouths kind of secures that cheesecloth a little bit better to the front of the bulbs, so everything kind of stays put a little bit better. And I just love how it turned out. I was putting these on and giggling as I was doing it because they were so adorable. And here it is, the final product. You'll see I put a few little witch hats on the ghost just because I had them and I had to be extra. And I didn't do it on every single one, but I wish I could have. But it turned out really adorable and we love it. Oh, and I put the battery pack on the back with a zip tie as well. So now it's easily accessible, but it's not showing from the front. And that worked out really well. But again, this is the end result. And even from the street, you can see each individual ghost and their little faces. And this turned out so darn cute. I'm so glad I did this. And mine is the same size as the Pottery Barn one for about $80 cheaper.